difference. We see Ajalun Musamma, which absolutely has no changes within it, right? Is that the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is that, is that treasure box, is that source, right? That one is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's absolutely no alteration, there's absolutely no way to actually be aware of it, right? You don't have the knowledge of it, right? But the ajal by itself, right? We can sort of understand and make sense of it, meaning that we can see the days go by. We can see as the days go by, we're actually, spending our ajal, and our ajal is coming to an end, right? So it's one concept with two different aspects. One aspect from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's perspective, the other aspect from, perhaps we can say, the material aspect, right? One talks about duration, one talks about, the end of ajal. I mean, if I want to make it more clear, we always think of everything in the matter of time and place, right? But what if you step out of time and place? Then what's going to happen? You're going to see the whole thing, right? If you're within the time and place, you only see whatever is in that time and place, right? But if you're outside of the time and place, you see everything that has been happening and it will happen, right? So the same thing for the ajal. The ajal al-musamma is that source, meaning that all the ajals that we see in this dunya, it gets transcended by the ajal al-musamma. But the ajal by itself, when we talk about it from human perspective, right, it is again defined to the time and place. So this is the relationship between the two ajals. Recite salawat, please. Amir al-Mu'mineen has this sermon, says, أيها الناس كل امرئ ضاق ما يفر منه في فراره والأجل مصاب النفس إليه والحرب منه موافاته كم امتلأت الأيام أبحثها مكنون هذا الأمر فأبى الله إلا إخفاءه هيهات علم مخزون. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, O people, every person كل امرئ ضاق ما يفر منه في فراره is running away from a specific thing, that specific thing will come and hunt him or come after him. وَالْأَجَلْ مُصَابُ النَّفْسِ إِلَيْهِ. And the more you run away from it, the sooner it will come to you, right? I mean, think about it. If the ajal is a one-time use duration or one-time use period of time, the more we try to run away from the end of it, actually we're getting closer to it. Why? Because we're spending the time that we have to get away from it. That's double the negative, right? So meaning that we're speeding up the time that we're spending. Instead of actually embracing it, we're trying to run away, we're trying to avoid it, and we cannot avoid it. So we are spending double the energy, and we're getting closer and closer and closer to the end of it. There is this very interesting story from the time of Nabi Sulaiman, right? So Nabi Sulaiman, mashallah, had so many powers, he could speak to so many things, right? Such as wind, such as all this stuff, right? So one day he's sitting in the palace, and then he sees the Hazrat Malik al-Maut, the death angel, Israel, right? As he comes in, he sees and he looks at the death angel, and he's like a little bit he's not in a good mood. He's as if he's talking to himself. He's not happy about something. So Nabi Sulaiman asks him, what's going on with you? I don't see you in a good mood today. Is it like a bad day at work? The death angel tells him, no, something happened to me that got me thinking. He told him what it is. He told him, and the death angel replied, I was supposed to take the soul of this person all the way in India in a couple of minutes, right? And as I was going through the market of your, kingdom, I saw him shopping, doing his daily shopping at that market. So I was thinking to myself that, how is he going to be in India in a couple of minutes that I'm supposed to take his life? And that's why you see me in this phase. So I don't know what's going to happen. Nabi Sulaiman was thinking, okay, this is a very interesting question. He's here, and then he has to take his life, between 2 minutes or less than 2 minutes in India. So what's going on? At the very same time, the very same person walks into the palace. Of course, the person who walks in the palace, he cannot see the death angel, right? And as he walks in the palace, he's so rushed and he's so hasty and he's so stressed that he can barely breathe and he can barely speak, right? So Nabi Sulaiman asked him, what is it, what's wrong with you, what's going on? And he doesn't know. He's that person that, the death angel is supposed to take his life. He calls to the Nabi Sulaiman, he says, oh Nabi Sulaiman, I had this incident at the market. Nabi Sulaiman asked him, what happened at the market? He said, nothing, I was just doing my own business, I was doing my own shopping. All of a sudden, I saw the Hazrat Malik al-Maut, I saw the death angel. And he was giving me the look. He was giving me the angry look. He was so angry that I got, scared and I got afraid. So that's why I ran to your palace. The Nabi Sulaiman says, okay, if he gave you the look, what do you want me to do? I cannot do anything about that, right? He says, no, I don't want you to do anything about that. I want you to order the wind to take me to India. All the way to India. Nabi Sulaiman said, asked him, are you sure you want to go to India? He says, yes, that's the only thing I want from you. Nabi Sulaiman orders the wind takes him to India. Death angel goes to India in 2 minutes, and he takes his soul in India as it was promised, right? Meaning that the more we try to run away from it, the more it actually comes back to us. Sometimes the more we try to ensure our health, the more of the sickness we actually gain, right? Sometimes we do too much of ihtiyat, or too much of caring, right? So the more we run away from it, the more we actually embrace it. So Amir al-Mu'minin says, فَعَلَى اللَّهِ إِلَّا أَخْفَاءَهُ هَيْحَاتٍ عِلْمٌ مَخْزُونٌ. Here Imam Ali is actually talking about the Ajal al-Musamma. Meaning that so many days, this is Amir al-Mu'minin speaking, right? I was thinking about this topic of Ajal and what does it mean and how can we understand it. Yet again Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not give us that knowledge of Ajal al-Musamma. Hayhat, ilmun makhzun. It is a knowledge which is kept secret with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and nobody knows much about it. So this topic of death is not a common topic only for the Muslims. You look at all the scholars, you go back in history, all the kings, all the empires, all of those who had power and knowledge and fame and status. Everybody was after finding a way to resolve the matter of ajal, to make it everlasting. But we know that it's not something that's actually going to be resolved, right? Because the purpose, again, is not to live in this world forever. It's to move on, right? Actually to live in a world which is everlasting, which we call it the hereafter, right? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Now what does the Quran say about the topic of death, right? It says, قُلْ إِنْ كَانَتْ لَكُمُ الدَّارُ الْآخِرَةُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ خَالِصَةً مِنْ دُونِ النَّاسِ فَتَمَنَّوُا الْمَوْتِ إِنْ كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ, right? So here comes that criterion. What does the Quran says, right? It says, if you really believe that you are the chosen one, if you really believe that you are the man, if you really believe that you're good to go, if you really believe that everything is set for you, do what? فَتَمَنَّوُا الْمَوْتِ إِنْ كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. If you're true about what you say, then wish for death. There comes a challenge. Wish for death, right? So how many people actually would do that? Think about that, right? So this wishing for death, and I know it's funny, but even among the Muslims, right? Wishing for death becomes a criterion, becomes that sign, right? Meaning that how much of a stronger believer the person is, right? The more enthusiastic he is about the topic of death. Right? And we see this in, even the prophets and the imams and those high level of mu'mineen as well. For example, I'll give you a story from Nabi Ibrahim. What is Nabi Ibrahim's title? Khalilullah, right? He's a friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So guess what happens when Malik al-Maut goes to take the soul of Nabi Ibrahim? First he enters, he says, Assalamu alaikum ya Ibrahim. He says, Alaykum assalam ya Malik al-Maut. Then Nabi Ibrahim raises a question. Have you come here to take me by force, or have you come here to take me by choice? Right? Nabi Ibrahim, mashallah, is all al-as, right? So he has the option to talk with Malik al-Maut, right? Malik al-Maut says, no, I'm here to actually take you by choice. You have the choice to come with me. I'm not here to take you by force. Then Nabi Ibrahim, raises the second question, which is a tricky question. He says, have you seen any friend to take a soul of his friend? Right? Have you seen any friend to take a soul of his own friend? What kind of friend is that, right? The friend wants the friend to stay longer, right? Malik al-Maut, he cannot answer. He goes back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? He raises the question of Nabi Ibrahim to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah tells him to go back and show them this writing. He gives them the writing. Malakul Maut comes back to Nabi Ibrahim and he shows the writing to Nabi Ibrahim. What does it say in the writing? It says, have you seen any Habibullah, right? Any person that you know who actually claims to care for Allah, to extend his love for Allah, right? To actually postpone his meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he says this one, Nabi Ibrahim goes with the Malakul Maut, right? Now, if you go down the ladder, let's talk about Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. You guys know about the Khutbah al-Sha'baniyah, right? Now, there is this discussion that, we don't know when exactly was the date of this Khutbah al-Sha'baniyah. We know it happened at the last Friday of the month of Sha'ban, but we don't know the year of it, right? There are some, claims, but we're not sure about the year of it. Let's say it was the last year of the Prophet, of the Holy Prophet's lifetime. Let's imagine it's the last year, hypothetically, right? So from that year to the day of Shahada of Amir al-Mu'minin, how many years would that be? Those who are good with math. At least about 29 to 30 years. So imagine for 30 years, you know the news of how and who will be actually standing up and striking you on the head. How would you live with that, right? Usually when people are given the news of, that for example, we cannot do anything more for you, especially from the hospital, what happens? They lose hope, they become depressed, they stay at home, right? They don't do anything. But Amir al-Mu'minin, when he gets the news, what does he say? Those who have read the Khutbah al-Sha'baniyah, they know. He asked the Holy Prophet one question.
This my deen is safe.
MashaAllah. Aman fi salamatin min dini. At that point, is my religion safe or not? For 30 years, you have this idea in your head. A lot of times, when we look at the history, right, that Mal'un couple of times comes to Amir al-Mu'minin, right, before the time of strike, Ibn Muljam, right? Like for example, one time was the time that he came to do a bay'ah. Second time was the time that Amir al-Mu'minin was distributing the Baytul Mal, right? He comes to get his share, right? Both of the times Amir al-Mu'minin points at him and says, he is the one who strikes me on the head and makes the blood to come out from my head all the way to my beard, right? And then interesting, at the time of distributing the Baytul Mal, Amir al-Mu'minin takes his own share, right? He was giving like every person like a horse or like a means of transportation. He takes his own share and he gives it to Ibn Muljam, right? As he gives it to Ibn Muljam, he says, "Oh, Ibn Muljam, remember this day. Remember this day and remember this day." Why? Always trying to prevent him from doing the one thing that he should not have done, right? So you see how Amir al-Mu'minin is looking at the topic of death? As if like absolutely no fear. When you look at the last days of his beloved life, you see that how much he's like wishing for it, and how eagerly he's waiting for it, as if like he's constantly counting the minutes and the seconds, right? We have it in the historical Rawayas that every time he would look at the sky and he keeps on saying, oh, the time is near, the time is getting closer and closer and closer. And he's just waiting and waiting and waiting for it. So the apple doesn't fall, far from the tree, about the Lord was saying on the day of Ashura, right? And this has been narrated by who? By the historian of the enemies. So he has absolutely no favors in Abu Abdullah Hussein, right? He says, at the last day when Abu Abdullah Hussein was laying on the Godal of Qatl, I got closer to him. When everything was almost done, not always at the end, I got closer to him. And by Allah, I witnessed that. I have never seen such a person with so many wounds and cuts, yet again with such a bright face, as if like it's a bright, like the sun and a bright moon in the middle of a desert, right? It's like nothing is happening to him. With all of those wounds and all of those scars and all of those calamities and all of those difficulties that Abu Abdullah Hussein has gone through, yet again you see the sense of contentment and the sense of pleasement as Abu Abdullah Hussein is laying there on the Godal of Qatl. So how are they looking at the topic of death? And how we are looking at the topic of death as the Shia of the Ahlul Bayt. Assalamu alayka ya Abu Abdullah wa ala al-arwah allati hallat bifna'ik. Alayka minni salamullah abadan ma baqit wa baqiya al-layl wa al-nahar. Wa la ja'alahu Allah akhir al-ahd minni li ziyaratikum. Assalamu ala الحسين وعلى علي بن وعلى أولاد وعلى أصحاب ومتعب السلام على وعلى علي بن وعلى أولاد وعلى أصحاب. Let's remember all the mahrumin and mahrumat, all of those who have come down with the sicknesses, and all of those who are facing difficulties in the world. And let's recite the holy verse of Al-Mahdi 5 times together. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أما يجيب